Hi, Jeremy.
Seriously, this is me at my most serious. How dare our Prime Minister, who spends his entire time pontificating about how we should all respect the law, don't disagree with that, who uses any law, it seems, from any court in Europe or across the world to further his own agenda, has steadfastly refused to back publicly what was decided in the Supreme Court 5 days ago. And over the weekend, Fiona, we hear, yes, he might be under pressure, but there is a WhatsApp group apparently where certain front bench cabinet ministers are already plotting to try and find a way to actively undo this. I find this utterly astonishing, don't you?
Well, we know what trans activists are like, so their behaviour is no surprise. You know, we've seen an angry mob of men basically on the street shouting that they're going to pee everywhere and they're not going to respect the rule of law and they're not going to respect women's rights and women's boundaries. That's no surprise. What I hope we'll see tomorrow is senior ministers coming out with the same clarity that they had when we got the CAS review. So you will remember a year ago, the CAS review said no more puberty blockers for children. It's harmful. They're not born in the wrong body. There are all kinds of reasons why they're unhappy or confused, but blocking their puberty is not going to help them. And that was unpopular with the trans crowd, but the government made an immediate statement. They said, we fully accept this review. We will stand behind it. We will implement it. That's what we need to see from this government. They need to say, the Supreme Court has spoken. It's perfectly clear. Sex means you're a man or a woman. There's nothing in between. Nobody can change. So now let's get on with it.
But you know and I know that the government that you're talking about, and I was as critical of them as anybody, which of course was the old Tory government, we're talking about a Labour Party that's foundations are so varied and so there are so many different parts of support for the Labour Party that I said it when he came to power. He was going to be juggling the whole time. He's terrified of the left wing. He's terrified of the trans lobby. He's terrified. I don't think he will come out. But my point is this. This is the Prime Minister of this land. At the weekend, we have people already texting saying, you know, I mean, the police are allegedly searching for people who defaced 7 monuments. So suddenly we get into that huge debate about two-tier policing because it seems that you can be arrested, and I'm not sticking up for Lucy Connolly what she wrote, but she's gone in prison for 31 months for writing some hurty words, and yet you can deface something and the police are doing nothing. You talked when you first started, you said to me, we all know how, you know, switched on, hard, difficult and boisterous this trans activist lobby is. But they aren't right in all that they say. They're not. So why aren't the police, why aren't our government saying, no, we're not falling for this? I'm sorry. There is a steadfast decision that's been made. The thing is, this doesn't, to me, it's like the whole sport debate we've had. I as a father of a teenage girl, am very strong about the fact that I don't want, and I was watching something over the weekend, a man in a dress in a female changing room. And one of these activists was on television and saying, so you're assuming that all trans people are male rapists? And I just sat there and I thought, you can't have a discussion, can you, with these people? I don't understand, apart from believing that it's been hijacked by a mob, and I'm being completely honest. I don't have anything against trans people. I just don't understand why it's become such a powder keg of argument and how people can't see the reality of what they're talking about, Fiona.
Well, that's the one good thing about what's happened on the streets this weekend, Jeremy. If you look at those people with their aggression and their vandalism and their banners calling for women like me who oppose them, their demands to be in women's spaces, to be harmed, it should be clear to everyone that this is a movement in which some men want to deny decency and privacy and even safety to women who oppose them. It's very clear. I don't know why the police can't catch them because they're on the streets. It's pretty open. I mean, they were out there policing those protests. But what I do know, and this is what should give courage to the politicians, is anytime now we do any polling where we ask a sample of the British population what they think about this, it's very clear that everyone says people should live in decency, they shouldn't be harassed, they shouldn't be discriminated against. But there are places where women need male-free space, male-free services, male-free sport, and it doesn't matter how you dress or how you identify, you do not belong. And that's the mainstream view. So, you know, if the government wants to be popular, actually, that's the way to be popular, is to back this ruling.
I didn't have a chance to say this to you over the last couple of weeks. This really matters to me, and I'd love your response. Your organisation sticks up for women's rights, and actually we've spoken for a couple of years, and I've always believed that's a really important thing. All those... a lot of female rights activists, without naming people, have gone, well, you don't hear from them. When it comes to that question, there are women who feel at danger or in case they could be violent. That's their decision. Why do those people who argue so vehemently and correctly for women's rights completely shut off and say zilch when it comes to the trans debate? Is it fear of being taken on? Is it fear of upsetting the status quo? Or why do I not hear from those people, Fiona?
Well, it is extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, I'm not sure we've heard from the Fawcett Society, and it's a statue of Millicent Fawcett, after whom they're named, that's been defaced in the name of so-called trans rights. We have had to set up grassroots groups across the UK because the funded groups, the official, in some cases, government-funded groups, are not doing their job. What are they afraid of? I don't know. But, you know, they certainly have shown a lack of courage, and I don't think they're doing their job.
Do you think, just very quickly, that following the Supreme Court ruling, whether or not Starmer has the courage or the political nous to come out and back it, do you think that organisations, there was a story that trans NHS patients over the weekend can access every woman-only space in London, do you think that the law will mean there will be a change, or do you think this will become a legal minefield?
I think that it's very clear. The Equality and Human Rights Commission has been the one organisation in the last week that's come out strongly and said, OK, the law's clear now. We need to rework our code so that everyone understands that a women's space or female-only ward means no one male. So if the NHS trusts do not revise their guidance and their policies very swiftly, they're going to be facing more legal challenges, that's for sure, because the law is crystal clear.
So good to have you on. Happy Bank Holiday Monday to you. Fiona McAnena, Director of Campaigns at the excellent Sex Matters.